So, welcome everybody. Today, we're going to be having some really interesting conversations with an amazing Amazon seller and coach, Kamal. And he's going to be telling you all about his journey. I'm going to be asking him loads and loads of questions because, as you know, my name is Kelly Coleman. I'm also an Amazon seller, multi-award winning product developer, and I have a cosmetics brand that I successfully sell. And I love products. So, I'm super excited to have this wonderful guest today. Kamal. And welcome, Kamal, all the way from London to the other side of America. Welcome on the podcast.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So today I'm here on behalf of AMZScout. I'm an official ambassador for them. We use all their scouting tools and we've got loads of questions for you. So maybe a good place to start is where did all of the sort of all this journey began for you? Where did the Amazon journey start?
The Amazon journey started for me a little bit over 2 years ago, and I wanted to create something of my own. I wanted to escape the corporate world. I was doing fairly okay. I wasn't complaining or anything, but I wasn't very passionate about it. It wasn't exciting me. I wasn't going to work with excitement. I didn't really enjoy what I was doing, and that's why I wanted to create something of my own. I wanted to run my own business. And it started a little over 2 years ago, where I was pursuing a bit of private labeling, and that didn't go so well. And I made a video about that, talking about that in detail. My first product went completely bankrupt. It didn't do well at all. I had to liquidate the whole product line,
Yeah.
and it was a big buster, but I learned a lot from it. I don't regret doing that because I learned so much about business. I've learned so much about Amazon, and it allowed me to get to the point where I met Travis and the Passion product team. And I launched two more products after that, also in private label. They did okay. They didn't do bad, but they weren't like the home run product lines that I was hoping for. And it wasn't until I met with the Passion product team where we started looking at things differently. I started learning from Travis. Travis has been doing this for almost a decade or maybe a bit longer. And I started learning from him different methods of market research and how they develop products. And I'm happy to say I partnered up with the Passion product team, and we launched two products almost this year, and already hit over 150 grand in less than 10 months, which is amazing.
That is so good. Well, as you say, I think, the whole Amazon journey without a mentor, it's pretty impossible. So it's always good to have a mentor. And I think there's also other things that can help us along with the journey. So things like tools. Have you found tools that you really like that you would be like, I have to use this kind of tool? Are there any of those that are your particular favorites that you would say to any newbie, you've got to use this tool?
If you're looking to launch something on Amazon, you do want to look what are people searching for and how much volume they're searching for it, and is there any competition on there? And this is really key, you don't want to overlook it because you think a product is going to do well.
You can really kind of get deep. And like you say, search volumes are really important because if no one's searching it, doesn't matter how good your product is. We have a very similar one on AMZ Scout. You can use a database, and there's also another tool on there. But I get you. It's really about searching for that product, making sure you've got no competitors or little competitors. So, what would you say? Like, what are the top three things you look for? So obviously you look at search volumes, but to generate ideas, do you stick to one category? Do you just, what do you look for in a great product?
Oh, you want me to give the secret sauce here?
Well, maybe not Travis's secret sauce, but maybe like your secret sauce. Like, what would be your, like, these are my non-negotiables.
No, I would love to. We're very transparent. We share this all over YouTube and in our course, of course. We love to educate people. As you know, we're an educational channel.
Absolutely.
Uh, and yes, and actually the different thing that, and also what showed me success on Amazon, what makes us different from private label is that we look for products that we have no competition with on Amazon. So the secret thing is that you look for products that people are searching for that are not listed on Amazon. So when you place yourself there, you're not competing with the big brands that are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on advertising because you're not going to be able to compete with them. And that's one of the reasons why my private label products failed because I'm dumping so much money into PPC and ad campaigns, and I'm making pennies. I'm barely making any profit because all of it is going to ads, and I can't compete with them. They're ordering large volumes of inventory, so they're getting it for a cheaper price. They're able to sell it
Absolutely.
for lower price, and they're able to do, very expensive ad campaigns and brand campaigns. And as a new seller, we cannot do that. We cannot afford to do that. So we want to set ourselves strategically away from the competition and have our own new product that people are searching for. And that's really the secret to finding a winning product.
Yeah, that's great. It's really good information, definitely. So, trying to find a product that there's no competition and you can get in, and obviously make sure you've got those keywords in your listing, and attract. Would you also still run your campaigns? Would you still do PPC, auto campaigns, and manual, and then get more strategic with your ad campaigns? What's sort of your strategy around that?
100%. Advertising is a very powerful tool when utilized correctly. Marketing is something that I'm still learning because there's so much to learn with marketing. It's all about learning customer, how they go on Amazon and how do they purchase and how do they think around the holidays and how do they think around discounts and how do they, navigate the Amazon platform. So it's really all about, it's from the moment that you name your product to how you title your product to what you put in your bullet points, you already have started the marketing process. And it begins very early on. And I think a lot of us overlook it because there's so much that we're learning in the very beginning.
Yeah,
But as you start launching and you're learning more about like how customers are purchasing, uh, and somebody asked me like, how do you do, a marketing campaign around Black Friday? And I'm like, you have to think as consumers, what do people look for around Black Friday? They look for big discounts. Like that's gonna be the biggest thing. Then around Christmas, you have to think of like gifting, family, Christmas gifts, like things in that nature. People are in the spirit of buying gifts and selling gifts. So maybe you want to bundle things up and offer a gift, like offer your product as a gift to a family member or a coworker or whatever it may be, the way you can market it. So you want to be very strategic ahead of time on how you market your product. And it can be done, through obviously not you're not gonna know how to do it right away, but it comes with time as you start navigating and learning more and more about selling and being on platforms like Amazon.
yeah. And like you said, I don't think you ever know everything in life. You're always learning. And there's always stuff to learn, isn't there? Even if you've been doing it for years, different things. And what about outside marketing? Do you run things like Facebook ads? Do you push traffic into it? Do you run influencer campaigns? Like, where do you stand with that?
Yeah, we're not running any ads right now, but we're with it, Obviously, social media is huge right now, and if you t can market yourself on social media very elegantly and relate to your audience and find your consumer base, I think it's a great resource. And it also can be done very affordably, organically if you're really good at it.
Yeah,
And I think it's a wonderful resource, especially now with TikTok Shop. This is actually something we're exploring a little bit. We're gonna dive into TikTok Shop shortly, and it's changing the way e-commerce is run, and it's definitely something to take advantage of. There
yeah,
are millions of people on social media every single day. If you can get their attention and have them be interested in either your product or your brand, that could be very, very profitable for your brand.
yeah. I totally agree with you. And we're doing exactly the same. So we're selling through TikTok Shop as well. There's huge opportunity. And it's actually very similar. in a funny way. And in the UK, we're seeing huge influences from influencers. And, when they show the product, there's a huge surge in sales. So, again, something to look out for, I think, as well, something that's already happening to us. So, when you're looking, so going back to your product, then you go back and you try to find a product that's got no competition. How would you do that? Like, what are your steps to finding out? How would you find a product with no competition?
Yeah, we made a whole video talking about how to do market research. There's few methods to
Yes.
doing that, and we do like there's a whole tutorial video where we show, or Travis shows how we found our winning products for this year. Again, we're like very transparent with what we do and how we do it. This is
Yeah.
one thing that I love about the Passion Product team and with Travis Marziani is that he's very transparent with things that he wins and even with his losses, he's very transparent about it, which is something I really admire.
Yeah.
And we made a whole video on exactly how we found our winning products this year that made us over $150,000 in less than 10 months. And we talk about the mindset of like thinking about products. So we want people to invest in products that they themselves may use in life. Like they
Definitely.
themselves, what when you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing you do? Or what is it that you do when you're navigating your morning? And what would you wish that something that you use is better? How many times throughout the day or throughout, the week, you're like, oh, you're complaining about specific things that maybe you do, and you're like, I wish they make this better, or I wish there's something that I could do this better. So we try to go from that angle, something that could ultimately change the way your life is, or something that can improve something that you already do. And that's why we call it passion product, because we want it to be relatable to something that you do where you can be a bit more passionate about it. And if you can improve it, and create something new that solves a problem for you, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of people out there that have the same problem that are looking for a product similar to what you're thinking of.
Definitely.
And yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So those of you listening or watching even, make sure you go check out that video and have a look more into that Kemal's talking about, because that's super interesting. So moving on, are there categories that you particularly like? I know you've talked about creating a product that you kind of use every day. So what categories do you prefer to selling? Because I know you've got different products that you sell.
yeah. Since I joined with the passion product team, I used to do like I used to do products that sell like once for consumers. Now I'm a big fan of consumable products because you get the same consumer or the same client to come back to you to purchase more. So our carnivore electrolyte, for example, is an electrolyte that we launched, and people who are fans of the product or they like the product, they either subscribe to it or they come back monthly to purchase the product. And I think this is really good when it comes to creating products because the lifeline of your customer is longer
Yeah.
than if you're selling a product that just sells once to a customer. And that's fine, I think it's totally fine. I like gadgets and tools, things that are, that uh skilled people use, like things for videographers or photographers. Again, we're all about passion products, right? If it's something you're passionate about, I think you should do it. Another one is like I think now is huge is like psychology and personal development products.
Yes.
Those are like very popular now.
Yes,
Another thing that I
definitely.
learned, yeah, another thing that I learned after joining the team is to find things that are trending.
Yes. And again, we can use our research tools, right, for that. Because I know even on AMZScout, we have a great AI tool now. We can spy on everything. It's very good. And we can see like the products that have like over 20% increase over the last 3 months. So yeah, I completely agree with you. And so moving on, so you found your product, you're passionate about something, you found a gap in the market, you've looked at the search terms, everything seems to work, and you're like tick, 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 tick. what kind of margins do you work at? Like, what are you hoping to achieve if you do like my cost is this into Amazon, my FBA fees are this? Like, what do you want to be left with at the end of the day once you've run your ads? What kind of profit margin do you work on?
Yeah, minimum you want to look at 25% minimum.
Yes.
50% would be great, 100% and more would be even better. But you don't want to go anything lower than 25% after you do your calculations, after you do your unit per cost, I mean cost per unit, your landing fee basically, and the Amazon fees, the shipping fees and all of that. You want to calculate everything and you want to be and maybe a little bit of margin for marketing. You want to at least be left with 25%. I think it was a good start.
Yeah.
However, if you can get 50%, that's even better. But I think 25% is doable.
Yeah. And in the US, do you always just sell in the US? Do you sell in any other markets or do you just stick to the US?
We just stick to the US just because the US is the biggest market in the world. I mean, Amazon has over 180 million Prime customers in the US alone. So that's pretty huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting because yeah, in the UK, obviously we're like 10 times as small as you guys, but on average, but we have people here selling in the US and we sell in the US as well and Germany. And so it's interesting to hear it from an American perspective. Of course, you're probably not going to downsize because why would you? So yeah, that makes sense. So we've understood why you started to sell on Amazon. We've kind of understood. So so take us back 2 years. So what were you doing? I know you said you were kind of bored of your job. What job were you doing before? Just so people out there can kind of because I think a lot of people dream about starting an Amazon business or they think, oh, I'd love to do something different. But like what I know you were bored, but what were you doing before? And what skills do you think was transferable into like what you're doing now?
Yeah, I was in manufacturing and procurement. S-
Okay.
Yeah, so it was semi-related. I was working for a big brand, that's like global size brand that's been around since the 1950s, and they were selling products globally, and we were manufacturing the products here locally in California, and I was part of the procurement team and working with the engineers on product development and sourcing and some all that fun stuff. And we were developing products and very similar to what we're doing with Amazon, but slightly differently from a different perspective on a bigger scale. But it was very fun to be part
Okay.
of that experience and all of that. But I wasn't very happy at corporate. It wasn't really working for me that much. It wasn't exciting me. You're a very small pawn in this very big machine that's running, and it wasn't that exciting.
Yeah, no, I get that. And sort of working for yourself, you've got that, that drive to like get up in the morning, create something new. And, with Amazon, like you say, it's forever changing, isn't it? But having a job in procurement and supply chain is quite good because you kind of understand how it works. Because sometimes I think when people first start, they don't understand like all the elements to it. And as you've seen, as I've seen, as Travis has seen probably many, many times over, is so many people start off and they make so many mistakes because they don't know what they're doing and they think I can get this right, I'm clever, and then they end up just last week I had a conversation with someone who's got like 9 products, none of them work, he's never had a mentor. And again, it's sad to see because people waste so much money launching products that are wrong, crazy prices. And so that brings me on to my next question. Like, what price do you like to launch your products at? Do you always say like over $20 or do you go 30 or 40 or like, do you go bargain basement? Do you have a pricing strategy for your Amazon business?
Yeah, definitely over $20 is way better than selling less than $20 because at that point most of the fee is going to go to Amazon. Most of the money is going to go to Amazon. When you're selling a product at $20 and you're making it for $2, and Amazon is going to take $11 possibly. from that product. So you're left with really $8, which is 25%, which is good. And you're left with a little bit of margin for profit. But you want to make minimum 25%, and even more is better. So minimum is $20. If you can sell it for $30 or $40, that's even better.
Yeah.
So I think for new sellers to aim for something between that sells for between $20 and $60 is a very good opportunity, because you'll know it's not a product that's going to cost a lot of money to build from scratch or to make from scratch, and it's you're going to be able to make some profit on it. However, if you're going to sell a product for $15 or $10, it's you're working with very little profit margins, and you're left with very little, like to none. So I really, encourage, because I want people to be excited about their first product that they're launching. I want them to see some profits, even if they run some ad campaigns. So we want to, set people up for success. So I do recommend minimum $20.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you completely. And do you find when you first launch a product, your profit may be lower than once your products got started because your ad cost might be slightly inflated in the beginning just to kind of wake up algorithm and just do you find that with products that you've launched?
Well, usually when we first launch, it's like there's a gradual process of ranking and sales coming in. I
Yeah,
think I saw that on multiple phases, and especially this year, like we started with, I've always noticed on Amazon, they put this little comment under the product, 50 plus sold last month, or 100 plus sold last month, or 200 plus sold in the last month. When you launch a product, it's a really good product if you're selling 50 plus a month. Then it's a great product if you're selling 100 plus a month. And the more you're selling a month, the greater it is, right? And usually when you start selling on Amazon, you're not gonna go from zero to 1,000 plus sold in the first month,
correct.
even though it happens, but it's very rare cases where people have that experience where they get sold out in the first month. But usually what happens is, like, your first month, you're gonna sell 50 units. Your next month, if it's a good product and it's getting more attention and traction, it's gonna go from 50 to 100 to 200 to 3. It's gonna be a gradual increase of fluctuation of sales.
Yes, no, that's totally in line with what we think too. And I think sometimes people do think, get rich quick, let's jump on an Amazon business. But I always seem to try and educate my students and say, look, it's more of a midterm because it's a brand you're building, it's an asset. So it's not like you say, you're not going to launch it and become a millionaire overnight. This is something that you build, right? So, yeah, I totally agree with that. And um, so we talked about how you find a product, how you launch a product, what categories. We talked about profit margin. If you were to give advice to like a new seller that was coming on the to the market and saying to you, Kamal, like how much money do I need to start this business? What would you say is a good amount to start an Amazon business? So for the people obviously listening at home or at work or watching on YouTube, like what would you say to them in terms of money? Like what do they need to seriously start an Amazon business?
Yeah. I started my first Amazon business for, and my case is different. I would argue you could do it for less. My first Amazon business with the course and the buying, I don't know if we count the course as part of, if we don't count the course as part of the, because I am a big fan of mentorship, as you mentioned earlier. I am also a big fan of mentorship. I think it's really crucial, and we do need a community of sellers and entrepreneurs to learn from, so we don't make the same mistakes that everyone else has done. Um, However, I think realistically, you could start a business anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000.
Yes.
But I will also argue that some people have done it with nothing. Okay. You could do it with Kickstarter campaigns and social media campaigns with l- almost nothing, right? And you can get people, if you can get people get excited about your product idea, they will fund your product idea. Okay. And that does require a little bit of work up front, which is fine because it's going to set you up for success. And we really talk about that. Like if you were, a lot of people want to skip this step, including me. And because we're very impatient in nature. But looking back now, like there's no other way I would do this because if you do a social media campaign, if you do a Kickstarter campaign, you're setting yourself up for success from the get-go, from the launch, because you're getting people to really be part of your startup journey.
Yeah. And then they're going to
And
really root for you, right? And they're going to be behind you.
and they're gonna be behind you and then they're gonna help you launch and it's gonna help you with the algorithms on Amazon. And it's not gonna cost you a thing because they're gonna fund your product idea. So potentially it will cost you nothing. You might have to spend very little to launch your campaign idea, but you know, but it will eventually you'll get that money back. But realistically, if you're not doing that, you need $2,000 to $5,000 depending on what product it is. $2,000 to $5,000 can allow you to start on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Super exciting. I know Amazon FBA only hold a certain amount of product at a time, and when you start, you get less volume to hold than when you start selling progressively. So, how do you get over actually replenishing your stock? Do you hold stock locally to Amazon US, or considering you're buying in China, for instance? Obviously, if you're doing stuff in the States, it's different. But how do you get over that kind of replenishment issue?
That's a very good question, and I think a lot of new Amazon sellers make this mistake, including myself. And the best way to do it is to when you first send inventory into Amazon, don't send too much inventory right away. Send from anywhere from 200 to 500, depending on what you anticipate. And I would even argue send 200 units first, see how the sales are going. If you sold 50 units, you want to get a rough estimate of how much you're selling a month. If you sell 50 units a month, that means you have enough inventory for 4 months, right? You're gonna have 3 months left. So you can wait 2 months and then see how you're gonna wait another month actually. See if 50 units sold in 1 month goes to 100 units a month, but that will give you still enough time to send in other inventory. Now, if your product's coming from China, you don't want to keep it stored in China because it can take a long time for it to come here. Even if you ship by air, your product could get stuck in customs. So I would really recommend have inventory on hand to get ready to ship to Amazon. So ship 200 units first, and have another 200 or 300 units waiting. And the reason I want to ship a little, because just in case anything goes wrong with the listing and you're not selling as good as you would think you would be, you don't want your inventory sitting at Amazon warehouse for more than 6 months because they're gonna start charging you long-term storage fees. And I want you to avoid that. So the way to avoid that is to just gauge how much you're turning inventory over and you start shipping exactly as much as you need. So once you get that estimate of how much you're selling every month, now you're shipping ahead of time exactly how much you need to ship. That's gonna last you for 3 to 4 months. And that way you're playing it perfect
Yeah,
and you won't be charged the long-term storage fees.
that's great.
And you don't want
Invest.
to and you don't want to run out of inventory. Really, really
Yeah,
important.
that hurts. You
You don't
start
want to run
doing
out
your
of
ranking and then it goes. Yeah, been there many times. So, yeah. So, couple more questions for you because I know you've got the whole day ahead of you. You're in LA and Orange County. We're very jealous. We're all freezing over here in London. Um, so, what does a typical day in the life of Kamal look like now? I mean, you get up in the morning. Obviously, you used to commute to work. So, what is a typical day looking like for you these days?
For me, a typical day, I work from home and most of the time I'm either working with students or I host the Passion Product podcast on YouTube, on iTunes and Spotify. So every week I'm talking to new sellers, just talking about their journey and what did they do and what are some of the mistakes they made. So it's really cool and fun, and I really love it. I love being part of that community. So if you got a chance, go check it out. I also I'm working on like my YouTube channel, and I also we launch videos all the time with Travis on his YouTube channel. So I help with that, which I really like. I have a hobby for filmmaking and production, and I'm kind of using those skills here with the Passion Product team. So I'm kind of I help with filming other people's stories that we're posting on Travis's channel, which is really fun. I love doing that. Um, and um, and yeah, and other than that, when I'm not doing that, I'm just working with the internal team, optimizing things internally and things like that. But it's really fun having that entrepreneurial, um,
Like,
workflow.
yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
really enjoy that.
Yeah. And is the team all remote? So do you work like in an office with Travis, or you all remote, just doing your own thing and just sort of checking in together?
Yeah, we meet once a week where we brainstorm and talk about ideas and certain things, but the rest of the time we're working remotely.
Well, if you were me, just two more questions, I think. If you were me, what would you ask that I haven't asked?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What would you ask yourself that I haven't asked you?
Hmm. What would I ask myself?
What do you think I've missed? Obviously, we've got lots of listeners starting their Amazon business, people that are in business, thinking about starting. Is there something that I've missed? I've talked about obviously product selection. We've talked through you kind of methods with passion product with Travis. We've obviously mentioned obviously AMZScout as well, what we use. Um, yeah, is there anything else that you would say, like
Yeah,
offer any
maybe.
words of wisdom to maybe newbies
Yeah,
starting?
I think a lot of people ask, is it too late to sell on Amazon? Is it too
Oh yeah,
late
I
or
get
is
this
it
all the time. Like, is it too saturated?
right? And the answer is no, it's not too saturated. I mean, think about it. There is always new products coming out. It's not about saturation. It's about finding a winning product that people want. It's about putting a product that people want in front of people. And when you go to the supermarket, there's always new products coming in. Why? Because people get tired of the old and there's
Yeah,
new trends. There's always new trends. There's always new product ideas.
yeah,
And Amazon is getting bigger and bigger every year. There's more people coming to Amazon every year. There's a lot more customers than there are sellers. So there is still a huge opportunity on Amazon and getting into this space, learning how e-commerce work, how product work. It's really fun if you have an entrepreneurial spirit or interest that you want to do something that's different and maybe you want to have a side income. Doesn't have to be your full time. I think it's great. It's wonderful. It also activates your creative juices and allows you to tap into something more. I would argue also when I started doing work with Amazon and started building my own thing, it allowed me to become more skilled at my job because I'm doing so many things. I'm wearing so many hats and I'm learning more skills. And I felt like I can bring that to work and actually be more creative.
absolutely. And last question, if you were starting from scratch today, what was the one thing that you would do differently to what you did at the beginning of your journey? I think I know
A
what that is.
hundred, 100% I would do market research a little better.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do private label. It was honestly for me, it was not that it was wrong, it's just the way that it was marketing. Like I would do private label, but I would have to market it a lot better and I would do social media Kickstarter campaigns right from the get-go. So I'm getting people to launch my product with me, to get behind my product and allow me to have a successful launch. I would definitely do these two right from the get-go and
yeah,
focus on that because it doesn't cost any money and it allows you to almost guarantee a successful launch,
yeah.
which is really good.
And have you done Kickstarter with every product you've launched?
I have not, but now I see the potential of Kickstarter because of Travis and the Passion Product team, which they both have done Kickstarters, and it's a great idea, you know. And now I'm getting more involved with social media, and I don't blame them. There's a lot of people who would say like, "Oh, I don't know social media. I'm not good at posting." Me too. I was horrible at it, but
You
I'm
have to,
learning.
yeah. I mean, and I think we're just in that world where it's like me. I think, oh, I've got to post, but it's just part and parcel, isn't it? It's and for a brand, it's even more important.
It's
Always been.
very, very important in nowadays. I mean, n you got almost everyone on social media. Companies pay ads on social media. No one is watching TV ads anymore.
No,
Ads are coming through social media. This is why it's really important.
and this is where we'll see each other on TikTok soon. We'll be, moving there as well. So listen, Kamal, thank you so much for your time. Please thank Travis for allowing us to have you as well. One day we'll get to meet him as well, the man, the legend himself. And we really thank you so much. Thank you for your wisdom, your time. We've truly enjoyed speaking with you. And have fun in LA. Have a great day. We're about to go to bed here, sadly. Not quite bed, but it's very dark. So thank you so much. And we hope to see you and chat to you again soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Thank you so much.